Every morning in Weston, a quiet town just outside of Boston, started the same way, in silence. The streets were calm, and a silver Volvo XC90 sat parked by the road. Fallen autumn leaves still lined the sidewalks, and the chilly December air had left a light layer of frost on the car's windshield. In the distance, the twinkling lights of the Chestnut Hills shopping mall could be seen shining through the early morning fog. "Michael, breakfast is ready," I called from the kitchen as I flipped pancakes on the stove. The warm scent of fresh pancakes and organic maple syrup from Whole Foods filled the air. I heard soft footsteps coming from upstairs, one pause at the third step, then one step at a time, just like always. That was the familiar rhythm of my 8-year-old son. "Michael." "Good morning, Mom," he said, appearing in the hallway. He was wearing his favorite blue cashmere sweater, the one we had bought from a small boutique near Boston College. His dark hair was neatly combed, and his socks matched perfectly. It had been 3 years since Michael was diagnosed with autism, and over time, I had learned to understand and respect his need for order and routine. "I added blueberries to the pancakes today," I told him with a smile. His favorite blue plate, one we had found at the gift shop in the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, was already set on the table. Michael sat down quietly, exactly in his usual seat. Outside the window, I could see neighborhood kids lining up at the bus stop. "Mom, it's Tuesday," he said, looking at me with bright eyes. "Tuesday is math day." His voice was full of excitement. Math was his favorite subject in his special education class at Park School. Just last week, his teacher had told me how impressed she was. Michael had solved some difficult multiplication problems without even looking at his textbook. Even the doctors at Boston Children's Hospital's developmental disorder program had praised his natural math ability. While I gathered my things for work, I kept glancing over at him, watching him eat. I worked as a project leader in drug development at a biotech company in Kendall Square. It was a challenging job, and just the night before, I had stayed up late going over data analysis. But these quiet morning moments with Michael were a precious part of my day, our special time together. Looking back, everyone in the family had reacted differently when we found out about Michael's diagnosis. My parents, John and Martha, had been unexpectedly supportive. My mother, a retired pediatrician, wasted no time and quickly found a team of specialists through Massachusetts Advocates for Children. My father, who ran a real estate development company, began funding projects that built facilities for people with disabilities. They also helped cover the full cost of Michael's applied behavior analysis, ABA, therapy. Their love and support meant everything to me. But my sister, Jennifer, had a very different reaction. She always showed up in her fancy BMW X5, well-dressed and polished, but her concern always felt distant, cold, even. "Oh, Amy, it must be so hard," she had said once, her tone more pitying than kind. Over time, her words became more clipped and her interest faded. Jennifer was a successful luxury real estate agent and spent most of her time showing off her glamorous lifestyle on social media. She regularly posted pictures from charity events, especially those for the New England Aquarium, where she was a patron. But despite all that public charity, she had quietly cut Michael out of her life. It had been a long time since she posted any pictures of him. "Jenny, how are the Christmas party preparations going?" I had asked her a few days ago. I was remembering what Mom had told me last week, that the annual family Christmas party was coming up soon. It was always a big event, held in a grand colonial-style mansion from the 1920s, in Weston's high society. It was one of the most important nights of the year. Last year, Michael had surprised everyone at the party. He had played Silent Night on the piano, thanks to his lessons at the New England Conservatory. It was a beautiful performance, and it had left a lasting impression. Even in a room full of guests eating gourmet food from legal seafoods and drinking expensive wine. This morning, as Michael sat tapping his fingers lightly on his blue plate, I could tell he still remembered that night and the warm applause he had received. I smiled and reached over to gently brush my fingers through his hair. The way the morning sunlight hit his face reminded me so much of his father. "Mom, can I play the piano again this year?" he asked softly. "Of course you can," I replied right away. I meant every word, and yet, inside, I felt a small worry growing. Jennifer had been acting strange lately. All over social media, she was still posting perfect pictures, selfies in front of Christmas lights on Beacon Hill, videos of fancy dinners, gifts wrapped in gold ribbon, Everything looked beautiful. On the surface, her life seemed flawless. But I couldn't help wondering, what was she really thinking behind that perfect smile? Jennifer stood frozen. Her face went pale. The moment she uttered those cruel words, "A child with autism doesn't belong in a place like this," the entire room went silent. It felt like time had stopped. All around her, the guests who had once smiled and praised her began whispering in disbelief. Did she really just say that? Is that John Brown's daughter? Shock quickly turned to judgment. Mr. Clark, a major real estate mogul, looked her dead in the eye. "I'll have to reconsider our contract," he said coldly. "We feel the same way," another guest added with a disappointed shake of the head. One by one, people began stepping away from Jennifer. Murmurs filled the air as the word spread like wildfire. Phones lit up across the room. Some guests checked her social media posts, while others messaged their companies or friends. Boston's elite network was fast, and it was clear, Jennifer's image was collapsing. "Wait, please, this is a misunderstanding," Jennifer cried out, her voice shaking. But it was too late. "Our partnership is over," someone said. "We cannot be associated with discrimination. It goes against everything we stand for." "It's already trending online," another added grimly. "There's no saving this now." Under the grand chandelier of the family mansion, the night that was meant to be Jennifer's shining moment turned into her downfall. Her phone started ringing non-stop. Clients, business partners, people she relied on, they were all calling. In between those calls, she repeatedly dialed Amy, but her sister didn't pick up. "This isn't how it was supposed to be," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. Wearing her stunning crimson Alexander McQueen gown, Jennifer stood alone. Outside the window, the Christmas lights of Chestnut Hills sparkled, once symbols of her social status. Now, they just reminded her of what she'd lost. Meanwhile, in a warm house near the Weston Golf Club, Michael sat at the piano, his small fingers playing Silent Night with grace and calm. The soft melody filled the room. "That was beautiful, Michael," Amy said, sitting beside her son. On her phone screen, dozens of missed calls from Jennifer blinked, but she didn't answer even one. That night, she chose peace. The next morning, inside their parents' grand dining room, tension filled the air. "Is this true?" Father John asked. His usual warm tone was gone. On the polished dining table lay a copy of the Boston Globe. The headline read, "Discriminatory remarks shake Boston's real estate scene." Jennifer stood at the end of the table, no longer in her showy gown. She wore a cashmere dress, but it couldn't hide her shame. Her voice was small. "Father, it's not what it looks like." "I didn't mean." Mother Martha spoke next, calm but clearly disappointed. "Jennifer, how many times have I explained to you, autism is not contagious. How can you still not understand that?" I didn't want the party atmosphere to be ruined." Her excuse fell flat in the silence of the grand room. "Show me the numbers," Father said suddenly. His voice was back to the stern tone of a businessman. A secretary brought in several documents. He spread them out for all to see. "This is just the beginning," he said, sighing deeply. "The disability support center we were developing, cancelled. Every single sponsor has pulled out. Whole Foods, Bloomingdale's, all gone." Jennifer's face turned pale again. She reached for the chair as if she might fall. "Even Chestnut Hills development plans, dead," Father added, flipping through more papers. "Years of trust gone in one night." "Dad, please, I didn't mean." Jennifer clutched her expensive Hermes bag like a shield, but in that room, it meant nothing. "You've left us no choice," Father said firmly. "You're out. No inheritance, no position in the company." He stood and walked to the fireplace, where portraits of their ancestors hung. "This isn't just a business disaster," he said. "You've disgraced our family's name." "Will you apologize to Amy?" Mother asked suddenly. Jennifer froze. Her expression hardened. "Why should I? For that child." She didn't get to finish. "You still think that way?" Father's voice boomed. "If you can't even apologize, you have no place here. You are no longer welcome in this house." "Wait, this isn't fair," Jennifer cried. "I have rights." Father didn't waver. "Someone who can't show basic human decency has no rights in this family." "Leave," Mother added. Her voice, once gentle, was now solid and final. At that moment, the doorbell rang. "The press has arrived," the butler announced. Jennifer's face drained of all color. "I will speak," Father said, standing tall. "I'll make a public apology on behalf of our family, and share our plans moving forward." Outside, cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions. The life Jennifer had built on status and image was crumbling before the world's eyes. Back at Amy's house, it was a normal morning. Michael was getting ready for his piano lesson. "Mom, Grandma's on the phone," he called. Amy smiled softly and stroked his hair before answering. "Thank you, Michael." 1 year later. It was Christmas season again in Weston. Snow lightly dusted the streets. Inside a conference room at Boston Children's Hospital, Amy stood at a podium. Behind her, a presentation showed architectural drawings of a new disability support center. "This facility includes the latest research to support children with developmental disorders," she explained to the crowd. Board members, doctors, and developers sat in the audience. The very project her father once tried to launch had now been revived by her. In the center's music therapy room, Michael now played the piano regularly. His talents had grown beautifully, and his music brought comfort to many children. His math scores at school had also soared. "Mom, I want to try a new song next time," he had said, his eyes glowing. Amy couldn't have been prouder. Later that day, her mother called. "Amy, there's interest from more investors," Martha said, now deeply involved as a medical advisor. She sounded proud. "Yes, I heard," Amy replied. "Things are going better than we expected." Meanwhile, news of Jennifer had faded away. Her social media accounts vanished. There were rumors she had moved to Chicago, but no one knew for sure. She hadn't come back. That Christmas Eve, Amy's home was filled with family. "Dad, listen to this piece," Michael said before sitting at the piano. "Oh, you've improved so much," Grandpa John clapped joyfully. His company, once focused on wealth and image, now centered on building inclusive spaces for people with disabilities. "Next month's charity concert is going to be a hit," Martha added. Amy nodded. "Yes, everything really has changed." Outside the window, warm Christmas lights glowed. Inside, the dining table was full of love and laughter, organic food from Whole Foods. Yes, but more importantly, a sense of peace. "Michael, come here," Amy said, pulling him into a hug. "We're happy, aren't we?" "Yes, super happy," Michael said brightly. And he meant it. On the table sat the architectural rendering of the new facility, symbolizing not just a building, but a new kind of future, a better kind. Snow fell gently outside as Michael began to play Silent Night once more. It was soft, hopeful, pure. A song of healing. A quiet gift for a family that had chosen what truly matters.